to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message at the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try and force in some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell. You are listening to episode number 314. I'm joined by two great guys tonight. Serial Box is here.
What's up, guys?
And Chira Jaden.
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Hey.
So as I said, there's only two of us because Days, she is reaching the end of her pregnancy. So she's only, I think she said 2.5 weeks out before she has her third child. And
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas, baby.
So she had to spend the last week, getting ready and all that stuff, getting the baby's room. So she hasn't had really a chance to play. So she's going to step out for tonight and take care of the Champions Select podcast. By the way, if you are a Patreon, I promise you have two coming for November. It just was it was a rough month with the preseason patch and everything. I think everybody understands. And we're actually getting some really cool guests on for December and January. We've been reaching out to a lot of new people. But you'll also hear Talanasty. He's coming back on for Nidalee in December, right?
Yep.
So
glad to have him back on. He was a lot of fun and had some fun with Extra Life with him too. So
yeah, he
good
was
collaboration.
I really like Talanasty a lot. I want to do more things with him and his crew. Just the same thing with like Just Okay Guys. We're gonna be doing some more with those. You guys will see some more of that around January. We're gonna be putting a tournament together. But normally we would jump right into patch discussion and all that right now. But I do want to take a moment. This is a somber moment, but we don't want it to be, because last night, okay, so if you haven't been following Twitter, you haven't followed Facebook, you haven't followed the subreddit, then you haven't seen the news or even the email we sent out about it. Last night I received a very sad message from Declawd, and that's he can no longer join the Trinity Force podcast, and this is by his own free will, but it was under an unfortunate string of events. So he messaged me and said he could no longer walk without assistance, and he can no longer use his hand. Now, for his hands, for those of you not in the know, Declawd is suffering from MS, or has been suffering from MS for a while now, and it's rapidly becoming worse. So he's no longer able to play League of Legends. He's no longer really able to play that many video games, and he's trying. Now, I'm sure it might get a little bit better, so he gets a little bit more use of his hands, but with that, big of an impact on his life, he's decided to take a step back and no longer participate in the podcast, unfortunately. So he's gonna be so missed. I missed that dude already.
Yeah, it's extremely tragic, because even as much as we bitch about his puns and everything else, Declawd's always sort of been like almost a dad-esque figure there to kind of keep everybody tied together and sort of on like a good vibe. So I don't know, this really sucks, not just for us, but most likely for probably any listener that's ever interacted with Declawd ever, because the dude's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
And so he seems to interact with pretty much everybody I've ever seen on Twitter, like that post towards him, which is amazing, because it's always in a funny and hilarious mode. And him just chatting with people today was really touching to see everyone pour out their love for him.
Yeah. So we've decided to try and give back, and the best way that we know how. Now, we could take up, donations for him and all that, but we decided we wanted to give back to find the cure for MS, or help find the cure for this terrible disease. So I have reinstated the King Declawd t-shirt sales. You can go to teespring.com/KingDC and go buy yourself a t-shirt. I am donating 100% of the profits that we make off of this sale to the multiple sclerosis. I can't even say that.
Sclerosis.
Sclerosis. That's why I never even tried to say it.
MS, multiple sclerosis.
Yes,
say that
society.
5 times fast.
The MS Society. We are donating 100% of the profits made off of these t-shirts at teespring.com/KingDC to the MS Society. And that is automatically going to be donated. We're going to have a little badge on there that says, this is all going to that charity. And we really want to help Declawd in any way we can. So, guys, if you would like to help out, you can even go donate to them directly if you go to their website. Just Google MS Society. It'll be the first link. Or you can buy a t-shirt if you like something, for your donation. Of course. And during this somber moment, my dog is going absolutely apeshit upstairs, and my girlfriend is not taking care of it. Take care of it.
See, Eris is upset too. There you go.
Okay. If she barks again, I'm going to walk upstairs and tell her to take care of the damn dog. All right, somebody walk us into Illaoi discussion.
Yeah, so Illaoi, did you guys cover it all yet?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think we've touched on her whatsoever.
Well, that makes it easy. So we can start from the beginning. Illaoi is the new champion who just came out, I believe, last week. I had to just try to spell her name to pull up stats on her. Because it's kind of weird. She kind of feels like, what's the character from Pirates of the Caribbean?
The Davy
bad
Jones.
guy. Is it Davy Jones? Yeah, she feels like Davy Jones. Uses lots of tentacles. Kind of is all about this elder god character. It's pretty cool. Like I don't know if
we've likened Illaoi to Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean.
I kind of grabbed that. Why are we the only podcast, or are there people that are not liking it to anime?
I mean, I was trying to go for a more mature side, but I don't know why I did that realizing what podcast I'm on.
Oh man, the Tentacle Queen.
The tentacle.
Yeah. So we just starting out. She spawns tentacles everywhere. That's where all the hentai references are coming from. And then uses them to slap around her opponents. So I guess you could even kind of go a little bit there, too. I don't know. Do you want to take this one, Adam? Because I know you're going to be way more immature about it than I will.
Okay, so Illaoi, if you have not played against her, she is a melee bruiser. I guess Juggernaut would what she'd fall under.
Yeah, she's a Juggernaut.
So we'll go over her abilities, then we'll talk about her and how she plays out. So there's people that probably haven't ever gotten to play against her yet because she's being banned so often, because she is relatively powerful, not necessarily overpowered, but relatively powerful.
She's pretty good in a 1v1 right now.
Yes, very
especially
good.
Early. Yeah.
Okay, so her passive, what it does is every 20 seconds it spawns a tentacle next to her on a wall next to her. It has to be on a wall. It can't just spawn in the middle of a lane. And that tentacle is increased by your percentage of AD. It starts at 1.2 and goes to 1.6 with level, and they do 10 to 180 damage based on your level. So that's her passive right there. When you use W, that forces your tentacle to smack in the direction that you used your W, and your W is a auto attack reset. Essentially, it's a mini jump and auto attack reset. So that's how you make those tentacles attack.
It's a really mini jump.
Yeah, it's pretty small. It's like a Vayne tumble, essentially.
It's Vayne tumble. You could liken it to Udir's bear stance, like E stun, because you dash just a little bit when you use that.
Yeah, so her Q is Tentacle Smash. She slams her idol onto the ground, and she sends out a tentacle in a straight line that does damage, and it also heals her for 5% of her missing health per champion that it strikes. Mm-hmm. No, it's 5% of his health as long as it hits one champion.
Yeah, it's whenever any tentacle hits a champion. So
Right.
like that Q does count as a tentacle for that attack, but then it's like if your tentacles attack based on like you hit a W and it smacks down, you get 5% of your missing health back if you have Q skilled. So at level 1, if you only have W, it won't do that.
Yes, that's the passive. So every time a tentacle strikes, she gets 5% of her life back. So she can potentially gain lots of life, and it does damage as it slams down. It's a pretty slow casting ability too. There's a wind up on it, and kind of like Thresh, where you see him wind up his hook before he throws it. That's pretty much the same casting time that she's got on that. Probably a little slower.
It hits pretty well. It's got a wind up, but the area is big
It's
enough.
wide.
And it's an instant hit when it hits, as opposed to it takes a travel time once it's like Thresh took. So I found it was actually pretty easy to hit if you're able to line up in the center of the person. Then you've got a pretty good chance of hitting, unless they're really quick to react to it.
Yeah, I agree. And that cooldown with that one, mana cost goes up, cooldown goes down per level, starts at 10 seconds. So her W is called Harsh Lesson and has a range of 225. Illaoi's next basic attack gains bonus range and causes her to dash the target, dealing bonus physical damage, and that only scales off 10% of her AD. It starts low at 15, goes up to 95, but it does reset her auto attack timer, so you can use that for whatever you may need to use it for. And that also causes her tentacles to slap in the direction that or if she hits somebody, those tentacles try to hit that same location that person was at.
If they can hit the location where she hits them, if it's way out of range, they won't just smack in the direction. But it's kind of cool with that, and it does a lot of damage later on. Like I found that like it's a bunch of physical damage. Like it goes 15 to 95 as you scale it, plus 110% of your total AD. So it's a full AD reset plus 10% of your damage plus up to 95, which is kind of a lot when you think about hitting a squishy target later in the game.
You got it. Test of Spirit, that's her E. So what she does is she throws out a tentacle to grab a champion. It pulls their spirit out of them and brings it back to Illaoi's location. Now, when that spirit gets to you, you can start auto-attacking that spirit, and and so you do damage to it, and then that person takes 25% of the total damage dealt to the spirit after it has been killed. Right? I didn't read the whole thing. It has to have been killed. Or no, it doesn't have to be killed. It's as long 25% of the damage dealt during the duration of it, and if it's killed, the person becomes haunted and they become slowed.
It goes. Well, it's 25% at rank 1, so it's whatever damage you deal to the spirit deals 25 to 45% based on level of that damage to the champion you ripped that spirit out of.
Right, and then severing the tether, if they walk out of the tether range, because you are tethered to that spirit, or if it's killed, you get an 80% slow over 2 seconds, and they become a vessel. So not haunted, they become a vessel. And during that time that the person is a vessel, a tentacle spawns every 10 seconds for the next 60 seconds, but the person to stop spawning tentacles has to kill 3 tentacles. And tentacles have 2 life when they're active, 1 life when they are asleep, essentially, or when she's out of range of them.
Those tentacles hit pretty hard, and they're really, really annoying, especially if you're squishy, and especially if you're low health, and if you get hit by one, you're insta-die, because they will follow you to the ends of the earth, and if you attack one and your ally kills it, doesn't count toward the 3 tentacles being killed.
Yeah, really annoying.
Yeah. It's so when they spawn though, so there's a couple times when tentacles will attack, like the tentacles on the walls, and it's whenever we said the harsh lesson, like their W hits, or when they are a vessel, and when they spawn when you're a vessel, they immediately attack you. Mm-hmm. Like there's no time in between. It's immediately hit. Like if you see it spawn, and if you don't dodge it, you're dead.
If you're a vessel, start dancing, because they're going to hit you if you stay still.
Yeah, one thing that's kind of at least, and this will help being a vessel and Illaoi players in general, is that at that 10 seconds, 10 seconds for if you're a vessel, or the passive timer countdown on Illaoi when she spawns tentacles, which does decrease over levels, whenever that timer ticks, it is the closest wall, like the shortest distance between you and a wall. So you can kind of, when you're like early on in the game, you're like, okay, I've got tentacles on this side, I'm about to tick that passive, I should head over to this side and get that. I think you can kind of do the same thing if you're a vessel and say, all right, it's been about 10 seconds, I better dodge away from that wall now, or dance between the walls so it's pretty easy to avoid it.
Yeah, there you go. Leap of Faith, R, Illaoi. That is our ultimate. She leaps into the air, and when she lands, tentacles spawn all around her for each champion hit. 1 tentacle spawns for each champion hit within the circle of her ultimate, and it also does physical damage when she lands. And for the next 8 seconds, Illaoi summons a tentacle for the duration of each enemy, champion, or spirit hit, and all tentacles become untargetable and swing 50% faster. Additionally, Harsh Lessons, which is her W, cooldown is reduced to 2 seconds for the duration of her ultimate. So she spawns a ton of tentacles. They attack more quickly because they'll attack anybody, and you can force all of them to attack the same location by using W.
Yeah, I think there's a max of 3 that you can spawn with Leap of Faith, but it's also a really small radius that you have to hit people in for this to. Well, the damage is it's all right. It's not very much, but it's more about spawning a bunch of tentacles and getting all those buffs to said tentacles in the middle of in a team fight. I guess you could do it in your lane, but for extra damage for immediate tentacle attacking.
It's not so great in lane because the lanes are so wide, but like if you're in mid lane, it's pretty damn good. Like if you're between the walls in mid lane, especially if you're in a jungle area, then it's really good. She's like kind of like a great wombo combo in the jungle type of thing.
Any area where there's less room for you to be able to run around and avoid the tentacles is a bad area to be in around her.
Yeah, and you can't target them during it and kill them at all, so you have to take the damage. Or you have to peel. You have to get outside of it if she lands it on you. So other than her E, she doesn't have any kind of slow, and that slow only happens if the person, either the spirit is killed or they walk outside of the range. So she doesn't have any reliable CC, so it doesn't really make that great of a jungler. I found that out firsthand too. I mean, it worked out pretty well just because I'm Illaoi and no one knew how to play against her, but her ganks were trash.
She also does have sustain. Like you can get all that damage from the tentacles, but unfortunately the healing is only when tentacles hit champions. Mm-hmm. So I think if you had a bit on like monsters, not minions, of course, then maybe you could get a little bit more jungle Illaoi out of it. But yeah, I feel like ganking is just going to be so difficult. Not even when you have your ult, like you have so little CC, you'd have to be ganking for CC heavy lanes.
Well, and even if you did gank and you landed your E and you ripped the spirit out of somebody and you killed the spirit, you did a chunk of damage to their health. But in all likelihood, if you're just attacking their spirit, they're gonna run out of tether range anyway.
Getting them haunted is kind of. I mean, it's annoying for a laner to be haunted because they have to stand back and kill the tentacles to become unhaunted. But other than that, there's no point to jungling with her. She's way better in the top lane. She can't really help but push, thanks to Prophet of the Elder God, but if you play passively and let the person push into you, the strategy that I've seen work really well with her is using your E to rip somebody under the tower and have the tower do all the damage. Because they take 25% of that tower shot, so the towers do more damage than anything else.
Yeah. Also something to mention about Tessa's Spirit, the E ripping. The duration of the Spirit also can be influenced either way. Like I believe if Illaoi attacks the Spirit, like auto attacks it, then it also increases the amount of time the Spirit is alive for, because you do have to destroy it in a period of time, or the tether breaks. But then the person who got their Spirit ripped out, if they auto attack Illaoi, it decreases the time. And there's a cool little circle that goes around the Spirit that kind of ticks up or down depending on what's happening. So you can fight that like easily. Like if they're focusing just the Spirit, you just auto attack Illaoi, and she's going to be taking damage from you at full damage. Mm-hmm. She'll be doing like 25% to you. And
the Tessa's Spirit, her E, it starts off at rank 1 at 25% damage taken. At max rank, it's 45%.
Yeah, she's pretty damn good when it comes to like. She's pretty good, honestly, when it comes to like objective fighting because of that reason. If someone gets too close, you rip a spirit out of them, and then they're haunted, and they have to.
Right.
So the team can take the damage from the tentacles because those tentacles attack an area. They don't just attack the one person. So you could potentially zone out a team with your tentacles. Not likely, but anytime that I had played with her, and so anytime I played against her, generally the person I played on my team that played against her lost to her because they didn't understand how to play against her in lane. So a lot of the times she just snowballed out of control. But the few times that we had those, relatively even games, we'd either rip the spirit out of like a Graves or something that got too close, and then force him out of the team fight because he would be at 50% life by the time the team fight started, plus slowed and haunted, which is really nice. But there's a lot of what if then their buts that need, a lot of conditions that need to happen to make that good, because she can't initiate. So you need somebody else in your team that can initiate with
Well, and for the most part, I've seen people building mostly the health damage items, but per 100 AD, she gets another bonus 8% to that percentage damage. So like if you have 200 AD, if you have 200 AD, you're doing 60%. If you killed their spirit and their spirit has 100% of their total health, you did 60% of their total health and damage. So if you land that E on the Graves that was trying to run past that wall, and you get him and you don't land anything else, you just took away 60% of his health if your team's there and you're sieging a turret. That's pretty significant, and that you can just half health somebody. I mean, it's harder to hit than a Nidalee Q, but that's like the equivalent. If you can kill the spirit, it's kind of a Nidalee spear, like a full AP Nidalee spear.
It whips out there pretty fast. It's kind of hard to dodge.
I wasn't thinking it was the easiest skill shot. I don't know. There were some times when you're like, oh yeah, of course I hit that one. But I think one of the weird things about her is that her biggest benefit is being somewhere like a lane for a long time.
Forever.
Because then you get tentacles there, but then you completely lose that ability to really you'd have to stand in a jungle, or like I guess my best case scenarios would actually be kind of anti-siege, because then you could be able to set up tentacles in case they try to dive you. Maybe if you're trying to siege people, but like later in the game, like I became super tanky and I could just burst down turrets, oddly enough, with the W. But otherwise, I really found that tentacles weren't doing pretty much anything later in the game, besides if I flash ulted.
That's really weird.
That was the only way to get in there.
Because the tentacles have really good scaling on it. You only need a Black Cleaver and Iceborne Gauntlet. I mean, Iceborne Gauntlet doesn't add D, but you really only need a Black Cleaver to do anything. Because those tentacles, out of anything on her kit, I think the tentacles are the only thing that require any kind of attention. I'm not even saying they need to be nerfed. They just need to, you need to realize that they can do a lot of damage because they have they have really good AD scaling. Plus, they're gaining damage with every level. And if you can set a person up and use and force them to where you need to go, and you need to force the person toward the walls where the tentacles are at, they're going to be taking a lot of damage between your W that you're scaling, which has a lot, nice scaling in itself, plus the tentacles that are ripping down. But when you are trading with her in lane because of those tentacles, she can't help but push. So there's a give and take there. She can do a lot of damage, she can bully out in lane, but she can't help but push the lane, so that leaves her open for ganks.
But the issue is I don't think she has to push lane at all. Like the tentacles don't attack unless you make them.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. If you're trying to trade, those tentacles are going to go into the minion line and smack the minion line. So she really can't help but push because you can't control the tentacles other than attack where the person is standing, and you can't control where they stand.
Yeah, well, no, you can. That's what I was saying about the passive is you can control where they stand if you see that it's about to hit the cooldown, because it will go to the closest wall to you.
Sure.
I mean, I haven't figured out if there's going to be I'm not talking like pink wards, like placement of Shaco boxes to be perfect and just destroy people, but you have a little bit of control. But yeah, I can see if you're going to try to trade, you're going to push lane just inherently.
Yeah, and I just like the fact that she can also trade through her E, and that slow and that damage is pretty oppressive when you're ripping somebody out of there. I mean, doing 25% of your damage dealt to somebody
for one rank. For a rank 1 ability, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. And then plus they're forced to deal with the tentacles at that point instead of CS, so you kind of get control of your lane through using your E properly.
And I was about to say, that's probably the biggest gripe I have. I don't really think this champion is that intimidating per se, unless you let her just sit in top lane for 30 minutes and continuously kill the same person over and over again. And if you do that, you have a problem, because for the most part, that's a champion who's setting up a zone of control, and the tentacles aren't super hard to kill, and you can play happy feet with them a bit. But I don't like that Vessel lasts for 60 seconds.
Yeah.
That seems like forever. And the biggest gripe I had in playing any squishy champion, at least yesterday when I played a bunch of games with Adam and there was an Illaoi on the enemy team in every single game, was that if you get tethered at all, and I had no idea what I was doing, so this might get easier over time, but just first impressions, if you get tethered, if you get turned into a vessel and you're squishy and one of those tentacles hits you, you're Singe having to dodge tentacles, and you're kind of out of the team fight, because if you get hit by that, you're at half health and anybody else can breathe on you. Or if you're spawning the tentacles and it's on you for 60 seconds and you're already low, you can't just hit B and back to base, because a tentacle spawns and smacks and kills you. And 60 seconds is a long time to deal with that.
Well, I was just thinking about that. It spawns every 10 seconds, and that doesn't change. So theoretically, you could immediately after dodge one base.
Right.
As soon as you were out of that range, you will make it in time, because it's only 8 seconds to get back.
Right.
So there is a little bit of it's not completely lacking counterplay, but it's so new that people aren't. They're like, oh shit, I got to dodge it forever now.
Well, that was first impression for me. And then I don't like how long it lasts. I think it'd be good, if it spawned the same amount over 30 seconds. That's still pretty solid, considering if you're tethered, their opportunity to do a bunch of damage to you kind of came and went, because you were slowed just by either breaking the tether or getting your soul ripped out of you and destroyed, and you took a bunch of damage for it. Regardless, you're sort of out of the team fight if you're a squishy. Not as meaningful if you're really tanky, but just still kind of annoying. Other than that, I don't really think she's crazy. That's my
I don't think
only
she's
gripe.
crazy after laning. I think she's going to be difficult. I haven't played against her in lane. I've played as her, but I haven't played against her yet. The one thing I forgot to mention when I kept doing this when I was playing her. I would use Test of Spirit. I'd rip Spirit away from them, and then I'd immediately W thinking that I needed to attack them with that to make Tentacles attack the Spirit, but they automatically attack Spirits.
There's a lot of weird interactions with their tentacles and how they attack.
There's a lot.
They don't mention in any of the notes anywhere that saying like her tentacles automatically attack.
That they do certain things independently of what you're doing, but there's a lot of like exceptions to that rule where they'll do certain things, but they won't do others.
Well, it's like talking about this. Like right now, her ultimate, the tentacles become untargetable and swing 50% faster. So, I mean, they're still attacking every 2 seconds with a harsh lesson. Does that just mean they're coming down faster and doing the damage more quickly if they're swinging 50% faster? Because it's not like they're swinging independently.
They don't. No, so they have their own cooldown, and I'm trying to find out where that is. Like their own auto attack cooldown.
That's what I'm saying. That's my point.
I don't know what the number is right now because it's not every time you harsh lesson. It's if there's something in range that is automatically going to be targeted by tentacles, which is a vessel, a spirit from Test of Spirit, or I'm not going to go with the harsh lesson part, but those two can be up at all times. Like if there's always a spirit or always a vessel in range, they will attack when that cooldown goes down. So 50% faster, they're swinging faster at that, at whatever target it is. But I don't know as if you hit somebody with harsh lesson, then do they keep swinging at that target? Do they just swing once? I'm not sure about that.
They all swing once per harsh lesson use.
Okay.
That's why harsh lesson is reduced to 2 seconds.
I mean, it's not a long cooldown. It goes down to 4 seconds by max rank, anyways. So it's not a crazy increase.
I was maxing in lane just because the damage is such an increase.
I mean, I was going with Q and W first. I wasn't maxing E.
No, I was maxing. If I said E, I meant W. I was maxing W.
You said W. I was realizing we were talking a lot about the later game damage of E.
But that's the thing. If we're gonna sit in lane all the time, you don't really need to max E or put points in it. You can do all your trading through W and Qs and your ultimate because you should get one kill right at some point if someone's ganking for you or whatever. If you're that oppressive in lane that you don't need the extra damage or Test of Spirit, so there's no reason to rank it up.
Yeah, I think that she's going to be really good with as kind of I want to say an anti kind of carry up top. If you've got a jungler that has some CC, like you can really just shut somebody down really hard. Because I think that's what if you're gonna play her. Once people figure out how to play her, it's going to be you shut down a top laner because I still am not believing in her team fight potential yet. But people just don't know how to play against her in lane, so they're like, oh, shit, do I dodge the tentacles? Do I go for her? What did I do? And then all the time she's just wailing on you and then you're dead.
Yeah. But that's also assuming the top laner continuously pushes into you. If they just freeze the lane, you're going to be expending mana tentacling the wave to get to the turret to start pushing it back towards your zone of control. Whereas then you're going to keep pushing it against them and they're just going to keep trying to freeze the lane in front of turret. And if it's a carry top laner anyway, and they're not banking on killing you, they want to freeze and kill stuff just so they can get more money to outscale later.
Well, she doesn't really have high mana cost, so I'm actually totally fine with pushing
fine
people
with that. Okay.
Yeah, it's like 40 mana at rank 1 for Tentacle Smash, 30 all across the board for Harsh Lesson to even make your that's 30 mana to auto attack reset and make tentacles attack the area you're in. So you can really push. You can push really fast if you want to.
Right.
But at the same time, if you don't use anything, you can kind of let it push back towards you for a little bit. Then holy shit, all in with all the tentacles, and then I don't know. You can gauge what you want to do from there. If you want to keep pushing, if you want to back off. She's interesting. She's one of the more unique champions I've seen in a while, and which is kind of weird because all of the champions recently have been pretty unique.
Which is nice. So right now she's doing, like I said, a lot of them are building Iceborne Gauntlet for the sticking power of it because she needs that extra sticking power after she jumps in because she doesn't have any other slows in her kit. I've also seen Black Cleavers and then a lot of Dead Man's Plate and Steric's Gauge. And is there one other item I've seen on her? Anything that just...
Spirit Visage,
yeah, because she heals for so much.
The extra heal is really good. And I think that IBG is insanely good. I didn't build it in my game because I hadn't really thought about it. But the fact that when you harsh lesson to somebody, it automatically uses that slowing field, and it means the tentacle is going to hit. Because you've just slowed them in that area. Because it's already... like you're hoping that the harsh lesson's going to make the tentacle hit when you don't have that slow, and you're like, well, that's what I'm missing from my kit. You add IBG, I'm pretty sure they're going to be stuck there pretty well.
They're going to take a couple smacks.
I wonder if that's going to be like become kind of a first buy because of it. I don't think it will, but I kind of like the idea of maybe if you're having trouble getting those to land in lane, but you're not really in danger, going that first for the damage and the tentacles.
But she scales really well with Sheen too. She's got a base of 60 attack damage. So
and it fixes any mana problem she would have as well, which is
next to
not
nothing.
that she was having a mana problem, but it just gives her more on top of that, so she can do exactly what I was saying she wouldn't necessarily want to do. She doesn't care anymore. She can just keep using abilities.
Yeah, let us know, guys. Email us, tweet at us, put on subreddit. Let us know
How
what
do
you
you
think of
feel about Illaoi?
Yeah, how you played against her?
I'm curious. I'm looking at win rates right now, and I know that's going to be a sneaky transition. She's at 43.7.
Yeah, she's not doing great.
In Plat Plus. That's Plat Plus. Yeah. Like they might have understood how to beat her a little bit. I don't know what the lower elo kind of situation
Are you looking
is.
at champions.gg or are you looking at
Champion GG?
He's looking at Champion GG.
Is Champions GG run by OPGG?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Let's call him up. Let's pause the podcast and we'll come back to it when we figure it out.
All right, I'll go to Champions GG for this.
Call Mr. GG and ask.
Yeah, because the next
he's the father of Hot Shot and all those other ones.
Papa GG.
What am I looking at here? Sort by role. This is for everybody, I'm assuming, because everyone's got something different. Because right now they have Quinn top 58% win rate,
right?
Which is just absurd.
Yeah, and their win rates, they're in the top 10 champions.
Oh, it's
5 of them are tanks.
But it's also 1.5% play rate. Like it's very
right.
It's very.
The people who are playing Quinn probably know Quinn like the back of their
Champion
hand.
GG works this because they do it by role. Because like Quinn is number 11 also in the middle lane. It's not just a flat. I mean, they do it by lane in Champion GG. I mean, I get whatever. So I'm just gonna use OPGG, I'm gonna use OPGG for this, just because it doesn't do it by lane and it's.
We were gonna talk about win rates. That wasn't just we're just getting stuck on it.
Right. Yeah, because we wanted to talk about, if you guys have probably seen a lot of Mundo bans, and you've probably seen a lot of Brand either being played or banned recently. And if you don't know that Brand is being banned, that's because Deathfire Touch is crazy good on him with his passive burn and the extra burn he gets from that. He just becomes oppressive with the amount of just touching you with the spell. Becomes
you
oppressive.
Have support brands running around doing more damage than anybody else in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brand being high. Rammus Malzahar makes me kind of turn my eyebrow up that one, but that's for everybody. Misfortune, she does a lot because she's a big lane bully, but I like this Dr. Mundo stat that's here, going number 5, which is humorous because last podcast I was going to make the point that I thought that some tanks were going to make a comeback, specifically with some of the tanks have a range increase on their autos, as well as the game got slowed down a little bit in patch 5.23 with turrets gaining, I think turrets gained armor, no, they gained health. Turrets gained
a bunch of health.
And they nerfed a couple of the champions. So the game kind of slowed down a little bit. So that leaves, and then plus masteries are just awesome for Mundo, getting all that extra life from everybody. And also the fact that Mundo can jungle as well, so there's more than one role to put Mundo in. So there's more time for this guy to ramp up and then to reach that 25-minute up and over the hill, that Mundo hits. He's got a harsh climb, and then once he starts to drop down the hill, he snowballs really hard. He's becoming a movable object. So he's becoming really powerful right now, thanks to masteries and the slowed down game time. Just humorous, adding 500 life per turret slowed the game down by probably 3 or 4 minutes. Oh, and the XP changes; those help too, because people aren't snowballing out of control anymore.
Yep.
And the auto attack reset on that E. Ooh, I love it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that changed
so
too.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, he gained more damage on E a couple patches ago.
Got a bunch more damage, and now it's easier than ever to last hit with him in melee. So it's great.
But yeah, I wanted to point it out that there's some champions out there you might see banned. If you guys go to bestbans.gg, the top 2, Dr. Mundo and Brand, are being banned in every single rank.
Hey, no, it's bestbands.com. We're not just only doing .gg things.
.com.
This isn't one of Papa GG's kids.
We're not being sponsored by .gg today, guys.
Right.
As much as I want to be.
I think it's really funny though with the lower ranks as of right now, and I don't know when this data was necessarily updated, but as soon as you hit gold, In bronze and silver, Jax is the number 2 most banned champion, and then you hit gold, and it's like, don't care about Jax anymore.
Yeah, I'm in platinum. He's not even in the top 10 banned champions.
Yep, not worried about him.
He's a stomp champ. Like he can stomp real hard if he gets ahead in lane. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like stomp champs are difficult to come back from in lower elo if you don't know how to counterplay.
So what am I missing with this Malzahar thing? Why is Malzahar's win rate gone up so much? Is it because Deathfire Touch does a lot of damage as well? And if you get caught with the E?
Well, Deathfire Touch does a lot, yeah, with the E. That's going to be like anything that has consistent damage over time, and then you have a mastery that ticks with the damage over time is already going to be scary. And so I think that's why Brandon him went up significantly. That's my explanation more than anything else. I can't imagine what else has been pumping him up.
I don't know. He might be another. He just kind of reminds me of another old
Now,
Fiora that was always high because the players that play him are really good with him.
If that's the case, do you think they'll end up nerfing Deathfire Touch itself to make it less effective on dot type abilities?
See, it's supposed to be already. That's
Well,
supposed
no,
to do like
it
half
isn't.
damage.
No. So what it does is it does half damage over 1.5 seconds instead. So it still does the same damage over time, just with it just caps it at half of that. So if you're doing damage over time with an ability, then it's going to tick the same amount regardless. So that's the scary part, is that you're not actually losing any damage because it's DOT, except at the very last tick, because that last tick will be halved. Instead, you're getting that tick constantly throughout the entire time that your E is on, whenever Brand's Burn is on. So I think that's why it's dealing a ton of damage. Plus, you add in something like the Oppressor Mastery. You get 2.5% increased damage to targets with impaired movement. You put that on somebody like either a Brand Stun or Malzahar ult. Both those things are just like bumping up more damage. Like that plus the Void. What's it? I forget what the Void. Null Zone. Sorry, his W. Like both of those things combined, Null Zone plus his ultimate plus Oppressor. That's a shit ton of damage that I think has bumped him up. I mean, it's if you look at this, like the ramp of win rate per patch just goes straight up. It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. See, Nivea, another dot champion. Amumu, he's always been up there. Humorously, Tarek is high win rate, and Blitzcrank will probably always be. See, anybody around 52%, I'm really. You're on the cusp of there being something that's bumping you up there. I know Malphite is slowly gaining popularity again as well, especially like he does pretty well into Illaoi just because he has the shield and the armor and da right. So I've been seeing a lot more Malphite being played recently, and with the game being a lot of it, I think has to do also with the game slowing down a little bit. It allows those champions that are anti-snowball or champions that work really well late with a couple items to come back into the game.
What's really funny is that so. In the one I'm looking at, Brand, Vel'Koz, and Malzahar and Lux are all very high up in win rates for mid lane this patch. And I saw something today that was talking about, so they just did Juggernauts and then Marksman, and then Immobile Mages was going to be their next one coming in about March, I believe.
Yeah,
which I think is interesting just to see those are the champs that are about to get reworked, but they just skyrocketed in how well they're playing.
Right.
It's kind of interesting. I know that those are specific ones because they all have this like DOT kind of business, and so Deathfire Touch is really helping them out, which it kind of makes sense more than the more bursty mages who have a little bit more. You could think about different masteries too, but I wonder what they're going to do with them because they went real crazy with all the marksman changes. I don't know if they're going to do something as crazy because at least with these mages, they're a little bit more unique already than the marksmen were.
I guess we'll have to find out. We'll just have to wait to see what the hell happens. I'm looking at Janna, Sona, Tarek are all high as supports right now, being the top 3 highest. And the tops, if I can go down, Quinn, Trundle, Malphite, Shen, Mundo, Galio, Kale. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I expected with all these changes, is these tanks just slowly making their comeback in there and not be, or anti-snowball mechanics.
What's interesting is that like Mundo kind of makes a lot of sense, despite the fact that there's 2 items that seem like they're directly supposed to counter him with Lord Dominic's and Moral Reminder. Just the only problem is they build out of the same item. Like so there's the Grievous Wounds on physical damage and the deals more damage to champions with more health than you. So you'd think that like, oh, we're trying to totally make sure that juggernauts can't be all like constantly in our face, and we want to deal with healing. So two things Mundo does well, but you can't really build both because you lose out on armor penetration super hard. And it's like, oh, well, yeah, of course. We tried to itemize against him, but then instead just kind of made him super popular with his recent buffs.
Does Mortal Reminder only proc when they're under 40%?
No,
no,
it automatically.
I'm thinking of
Morello
any
physical damage. Yeah,
Morello
Any
Namicon
physical
is if they're
damage
under
does it.
40%. So that's kind of what sucks about it. Grievous Wounds was so nice because you could stick it on somebody like an 80 or on a spellcaster who could constantly reapply it. Now an 80 carry can too by auto attacking, but you don't necessarily want your 80 carry applying Grievous Wounds because that's money spent into a stat that could be increasing the amount of damage they're doing. And Grievous Wounds doesn't increase damage; it just prevents somebody from gaining life. And so it's kind of the opposite of what you want an 80 carry to build in that sense, because it's not really getting them further ahead. And then Morello Namicon, for example, only works if the person's under 40% life. It applies Grievous Wounds.
And Morello is already like an item that people build regardless on champion on mages as is, just because the 20% CDR, the mana regen are already really good. Like it's Moral Reminder is kind of garbage otherwise. It doesn't like you. I guess you get like a little bit of a buffed Last Whisper, but the only other thing you're getting is the Grievous Wounds. So it's not like Morello. Morello is actually still a good item, not so much Moral Reminder yet.
Yeah, no. Lord Dominic's Regard just does. It gives you so much more though, because you grant up to 15% bonus physical damage against enemy champions with greater maximum life than you. And Mundo obviously is going to have greater maximum life.
A lot.
So you need
He's
somebody
going to have way more health than almost any other champion that would build that item.
Yeah. And what do you need? You need it's like it maxes at 500 health difference. Yeah, you're gonna. I think any 80 carry is gonna have more than 500 less health than Mundo, unless
Easily.
you've been building that 80 carry very wrong.
Frozen Mallet 80 carry.
Not even then. You'd still need to build like 3 of them.
I know. So that's more or less win rates. We kind of wanted to roll those down and talk to you guys a little bit about that. I do want to wrap back around to some patch 5.23 stuff to end up this podcast, because we had talked about some changes or didn't get to a couple things, and we want to make sure that we get around to those for you. The first one being that Caitlyn, we talked about the damage change in Piltover Peacemaker being 40% to 33% after the first target hit, and we said that was a 7% damage difference, and on the surface that is 7% difference, but once you start doing the math, it's actually 11.67% more damage that you're dealing based on how much damage your Q does. So I wanted to make sure we wrapped around back that and say, thank you for, we actually had someone write in and give us the math, and it was one of those where I went, yeah, I know, I should have done the math before we did the show, but when the patch notes come out at 4:30 and I'm trying to leave work, it's kind of hard to sit down and do a bunch of spreadsheet before the show starts.
Damn work.
Yeah, damn.
But
real
thank
life.
you, Math Wizard. You're the greatest.
Yeah, that's helpful though. That's helpful to know that the damage is actually increased by 11% roughly, thanks to that change. What was the other one that I wanted to talk about? I know we missed something else in this patch.
I don't know. Wasn't here.
Yes.
You guys got
What about the
Quinn?
culling?
You covered the Quinn change, right?
The culling doing no damage to minions right now.
Yeah. Have you noticed that bug? It does nothing.
Yeah, so Lucian's ult barely does anything to minions, because I've seen Lucians pump 3/4 of their ult into one cannon, like one melee minion that wasn't even Baron buffed, and then it did nothing to it. He finally kills it.
So like Spaghetti Code took away the 400% damage to minions.
Maybe, I'm thinking, because
that's kind of the reason it usually wails through minions, is it's 400% increased damage to minions.
Something happened.
what
I dumped my entire ult into 2 minions and they hardly died.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it
that would
didn't
have
do
to be
anything
what
to 'em.
happened. Yeah. That's
Spaghetti code, is that what you just
that was
called
a
it?
Yeah,
that's
Spaghetti
what it's
Code.
called.
Like,
where there's
they-
just so much code that it's all lopped on top of each other, and if you pull a little bit,
It all falls
you're
apart.
Pulling something. Yeah, it's spaghetti.
Well, yeah, they changed how the total. They changed it from bonus attack damage to total attack damage. They've been messing with the culling pretty much every patch since preseason hit. Like either how many bullets come out, for if it's not attack speed based anymore. Now bonus to total attack damage. So I think that they must have dropped it somewhere along the way. So that's really bad, because you could use that. That completely takes away one of the main uses for his ultimate, is to be able to wave clear really, really well and really quickly.
Right.
The other thing that I wanted to point out was we talked about Static Shiv. We just because we was at the very end of the podcast, we were trying to close out the show. Static Shiv does the same amount of damage to minions and does less damage to champions. I think we were saying that it did a little bit more damage to minions, and that's not
it does
correct
the
either.
exact same amount of damage to minions.
Right. So I wanted to correct that. I'm sure you guys over the 4-day weekend noticed that one.
And those of you who didn't, you're not missing out.
Oh, and another correction. This is another correction. You get home guard no matter what tier your boots too, by the way. So if you have tier 1 boots, you have home guard at 20 minutes. Have you guys I like that new home guard change.
I love it. It's so nice especially because now you don't have to sit at base and be like, man, do I really want to spend this 475 gold on upgrading this to whatever boot? Home guard probably, because it looks like we might lose, but I kind of want to get out to the spot that I need to get out to quickly. And it's like, oh, hey, I don't have to make that decision. Riot made me for me. Thank you, Riot, for giving me a free gift every time I play League of Legends.
What was the other?
Yeah, I don't feel like those numbers are right for Shiv that you guys are talking about. I don't know. I hadn't looked at them until right now, but that looks like it's toned down regardless on minion damage.
No, the way the math works is that it's 30 to 100. 75% of 100 is still 75. It was doing 75 magic damage before to minions, so it just equaled out.
But it would have been 150 plus 50% versus 100 plus 75, and that'd be 225 versus 175. I mean, I don't want to like to stay on math things for a while, but pretty sure that would be a damage decrease.
I'm ignoring you because I was looking at something about boots. About yourselves.
Whatever. Either way, we'll probably get corrected, or one of us will be right later on in that. Did you guys
why don't you toss it into a Excel spreadsheet? That's the easiest way to figure it out.
It's not. I just looked at it. It's basic math.
Basic. All right, Serial.
it's
You're basically being a prick right now.
No, it's still like 150, 50%
of 150
like
would be 75 damage. That'd be 225 total.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean sorry. The
it's
difference between the difference between champions and minions is stayed the same, but total damage still went down. That's correct. Okay, misunderstood. Cool. Understand that.
I
now.
ignored you to that entire direction because that
we were both saying
the
the correct things, just in different ways.
I hate everybody. Do we finally have this hammered down? Have we decided?
I think
Did you guys cover promo helper at all?
No, I didn't cover that.
We
kind of left that to 4 wards for anybody who wanted that.
Oh, okay.
And because promo helper really isn't our thing. It doesn't. I mean, congratulations, you get help with your promos if you're below gold. Or your gold or below.
It's nice that if you just want to keep ramming yourself into matches and you keep winning enough to get the promos but can't win them, you get a little benefit to it. So kudos to you until you get the gold one. But
which one was I looking at? Oh yeah, I think it was boots, because boots of swiftness are 65. Yeah. I was going to talk about Boots of Swiftness being a good buy on junglers now because of the flat 65. Well, people were buying Boots of Mobility, but now that you don't have to buy Home Guard. You can upgrade into Alacrity, which is another 475 gold, to give yourself the same amount of movement speed as that Boots of Mobi give you, essentially.
Oh, that's cool. And
Plus,
but it's permanent, so it never goes off.
It's not that it's just permanent; it's also that it reduces slowing effects, which is enormous on a lot of champions that would buy Boots of Swiftness anyway. Those are my go-to boots on quite a few champions, especially those that have to run at you to do damage.
Yeah,
the big thing here is both upgrades, Boots Mobi and Boots Swiftness, cause 800 gold total. But with 475 gold added onto that with Alacrity, you have the same amount of movement speed as you would if you had Boots of Mobi, but it never decreases. So if you are a jungler that wants to move around quite a bit, Boots of Swiftness are probably the better buy than Boots of Mobis for the all practical style of use rather than the one-off. I mean, I'm still buying a lot of Ionian Boots of Lucidity. I don't know. Actually, I don't think that has been patched yet. Has that? Because it wasn't working with the mastery to increase your total summoner spell. Not that I'm taking it. I'm actually running a lot of 12-18 right now because I love Thunderlord's Decree so much.
I think a lot of people are liking Thunderlord's Decree, especially with the 10 seconds taken off the amount of time, like
And they're
the
increasing on the PvE.
internal cooldown on it.
Yeah, they're increasing the damage. I like it a lot, and I posted about this, and it got no traction, but I'm sure it's gonna be patched soon. A lot of champs that deal mixed damage on autos or on any side of damage are getting 2 ticks towards the 3 on Thunderlords immediately. Like Corki auto counts as 2 towards it, which is pretty dumb. But it was
Really?
cool. You walk into lane and auto him twice, and you've already got Thunderlords off, or even just auto him and Q. Thunderlords is done.
That's insane.
So
Yeah.
So would like a Jax auto attack and then an empowered W auto attack followed up like instantly, so you get the auto, then attack reset auto, would you immediately proc Thunderlords because
you would proc
doing
Thunderlords
the
if
bonus?
you jumped auto W. Or if you E auto W, you would proc it. Or you EQ auto attack, you proc it. It's any damaging ability counts toward the stacks of Thunderlords.
I mean, 20
Yeah,
seconds is still a while, like internal cooldown wise, on a champion like that kind of just wants to get in on you. But for trades, that's pretty nasty.
That's
Yeah,
why
it's-
it works really well on Renekton, for example, because he trades really well with it. Because he gets 2 hits off of his W, so
His
Q
W.
W, and you've proc Thunderlords, for example.
Yeah,
Or
I like that a
QE,
lot.
whatever.
Yeah, I like it a lot, and I know that I've said this before, but everyone just saw the ferocity keystones. Were like, "Whoa, those make sense to me. I understand how they work immediately." But then I think Thunderlords is going to end up. I think it's going to get nerfed. I can't believe it's getting buffed again.
Still getting buffed.
Yeah,
It's gaining 10% increased. It's getting
Is it AD?
Yeah, it's AD. It's getting
Yeah,
going from
bonus
20 to
AD.
30% bonus AD. And they're also adding more masteries in the PvE to increase your damage if you are solo, essentially. So if there's no ally near you, you can gain 1.5% increased damage. Hello,
really cool.
Nocturne, Rengar, etc.
Right.
Yeah. What was the other one? The other one was the.
But I was going to bring that. I'm bringing these up because we had asked, is Deathfire Touch going to be nerfed? I don't think they are, because I think some of the other masteries to try to
Bring them into
to bring everything into
contention
line
with it.
Yeah.
I just don't see. All right, in regards to Deathfire Touch, though, I don't see what challenges it. Like Thunderlords is something that works for some champions, but in terms of like a mage matchup, like if you're just doing mage versus mage, they're both going Deathfire Touch. If you have like an AD assassin, like you're not going to get much off fervor, because like you could stack it up, but you're not going to get a whole lot. You're not going to get anything that's going to challenge what Deathfire Touch gives you early on. Maybe a little bit with Warlords if you're playing like Yasuo, but like I don't.
Well,
I
they're
think
adding
they have to.
Murderous Intent. Deal 5% increased damage to champions until you gain a kill or assist. That's a lot for in lane. Not, how does that work? Do you lose that 5% for the duration of the game after you get a kill? Probably, but that's probably enough to start snowballing you, and you can sacrifice 1 point to do that.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's a really well. What I don't know is maybe that's what if that's a 5-point tier thing?
Right, we don't know.
And you have to put in 5 points. And same thing with the assassin one. Like you have to, like it's 0.3% per point if you don't have anyone near you. Yeah, I guess we don't know that at all.
I'm sure it is. If the assassin one's 0.3% per tier, I'm sure, or per point, I'm sure the other one's 5 points. But again, we're talking PvE. Some new masteries they're adding into there. So they said they're adding. Are they adding them against all 3 trees? Are they adding new masteries?
It was only those 2 were listed, so
Okay.
I can't. I would imagine those are both in the Frosty tree, the essentially the attack tree.
Cunning? Is it
I mean,
cunning or ferocity? You said. I thought you said.
Yeah, I would
frosty.
assume that it's in that.
The Frosty Tree.
The Frosty tree. Yeah, it's Legend of the Poro King's back. Why not? Got the Frosty tree.
The 4th tree. The one that only comes around once a year.
And it's just how many. It's like each point you put in there is another snowball you can hold.
Yeah.
For
It'd be
Poro
great if I
King.
put on there and a little snow came down on my screen every time I put a point in, and I can
The
make it
last
snow.
keystone, you can control the Poro King to fight for you. That'd be great.
No, you can just play as the Poro King.
Yeah,
Oh,
fuck
I'm in.
it. It's
I
the
am
Poro
in.
King's now a champion.
Riot, hire us. We just came up with the best idea you're gonna have all year.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up today's discussion because we kind of went over everything. We'll figure something out for you guys to talk on Wednesday because I won't be here, so you guys might have to be 2-manning it.
Oh, jeez.
I'll make something up if we need to.
Yeah, you're good at that.
I don't know what.
You're good at talking out your ass. So
We'll play patty cake.
There
for
we go. I
now.
was waiting to
Great.
get shit on at some point.
I just can't do it. I never shit on Declawd, and you're like, you're replacing Declawd. Oh, by the way, Serial's going to be on the podcast forever. I just forgot to mention that earlier.
Forever.
I was figuring that was gonna be followed with "you piece of shit" because that's normally what I hear from either of you two whenever we're playing.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I've just
never
learned to
been
ignore you,
anything
honestly.
but
He
nice.
says
What?
shit to me. He's like trying to come on to me in Slack chat, and I just move on to the next piece.
That's a smart move. It's a veteran move.
All right, I think that pretty much ends it. I would normally pimp something for you guys to go buy and help us support us, but I'd rather you guys go out to teespring.com/KingDC and support Declawd and the MS Foundation
And you get a sweet shirt if you do it.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
King Declawd. I mean, it's the very first shirt that ever came out. This unfortunate side effect of having the disease, but we want to make it the best we can.
Go help support research to help keep Declawd from becoming the ruined king.
Jesus Christ. Oh yeah, one
I
other
had to do it for him.
one other announcement that I almost totally forgot to announce was that Battle Arena comes back this Thursday and Bronze Boot Camp comes back this Saturday, all the way up until Christmas. They'll probably take a week off, and they'll be back into it to the new year. So if you have not joined Battle Arena, don't know what it is, they are 5v5. They're essentially in-houses. You go sign up at trinityforcepodcast.com/BA sign up. It's not trinityforcenetwork.com. We haven't switched it over. But go sign up at BA sign up. You will join either, they start at 7 o'clock, is it? Yeah, 7 o'clock Eastern time on Thursday. Go sign up. You'll jump in these 5v5s. They are shoutcasted by our platinum or higher shoutcasters, and they give you feedback to how to play the game better. And then those are uploaded to our YouTube channel over at T-Force Podcast, so you can watch them again and get some feedback on your gameplay and what you're buying and how you're playing and how you're warding and all that kind of good stuff. And then they go over the entire game after it's done, and they do 3 games of those on Thursday nights. And Bronze Boot Camp is at noon on Saturdays, and that is for bronze players only. So that you can just play against people your rank. If you want to join Battle Arena, you have to be bronze to gold 1. We don't do anything higher than that. Sorry, platinum and diamonds. You guys are too good.
You already have some basic knowledge to be able to do pretty well.
We're just trying to get any of those guys with the basic knowledge they may be lacking or whatever it means. But please, when you join Battle Arena, if you're going to play in it, come willing to learn. And don't try to be the hero. Play it like you normally would in solo queue. There's no team speak allowed. You can talk in game if you like, but don't go out in there BM people. Don't be an asshole. I mean, I know we like to have a lot of fun here and be assholes to each other in the Trinity Force podcast, but when you're in the game, be nice. And then when you're done, you can talk all the shit you want.
Yeah, it's also like the shoutcasters are there to like tell you what you can be doing better. So you can ask them to say, "Hey, I always have trouble with this such and such," and they'll try to hopefully point out something in game that you can work on, or that they just notice you could be doing better. So it's all there to help.
There we go. That's Battle Arena, guys. Go check it out. That's episode 314 of the Trinity Force podcast. Thank you guys for listening and supporting us. Thank you for your patronage for the month of November that goes out tomorrow. And like I said, if you are listening and you're a Patreon subscriber, you're going to get your podcast. We're sending an email out about it. We're really sorry. We sent an email out about the replay reviews today as well, that you have a free replay review to use anytime you want over the next whatever. As long as we're doing this podcast, you get one free replay review because of the patch. And then we'll do that every year on the patch thing stuff, assuming that we blah 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 things in words. It's hard.
Preseason woes.
Thanks guys for listening. We'll see you all next week.
See ya.